Hello, friends. So, Bible study, the NIV, Romans, chapter 8. We're going to start at verse 9. We're going to go to verse 25. It's going to finish up life through the Spirit parable, and then we'll go into another parable, which we won't actually finish. Remember, this is, of course, a letter from, St. Paul, written while he was in Rome, to fellow people of faith. So, verse 9. You, however, are not controlled by the sinful nature, but by the Spirit, if the Spirit of God lives in you. And if anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, he does not belong to Christ. So you have to be having the Holy Spirit in you in order to have the Spirit of Christ in you. But if Christ is in you, your body is dead because of sin, yet your spirit is alive because of righteousness. So you'll have life after death, meaning that when you no longer need your vessel, your soul will continue on. And if the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, he's living in all of us and everything, because he's energy, pure energy. And there's not such a thing in existence, no piece of matter in existence in the known and unknown universe does not contain at least potential energy. May not be efficient fuel sources, but it doesn't mean it's not a fuel source. He who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through his Spirit who lives in you. Therefore, brothers, we have an obligation, but it is not to the sinful nature to live according to it. For if you live according to the sinful nature, you will die, but your soul will go not to heaven. But if by Spirit you put to death the misdeeds of the body, you will live. I'm sorry. Puppy City, and she can hear the mourning dove who's actually up on the roof on top of the chimney cap, cooing. Because that happens almost every single day during Bible study, just not usually while I'm recording a video. So she's going in and out trying to find the bird that she can't find. So it's actually kind of amusing. Because those who are led by the Spirit of God are sons of God. For you did not receive a spirit that makes you a slave again to fear, but you received the spirit of sonship. By him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are children, we are God's children, or children of God, is what I was going to say. I say that a lot. I am a child of the living God. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in his sufferings, in order that we may also share in his glory. That's the end of that first parable. Christ was his spirit. He bodily rose to heaven, but first his spirit, right? And then he came back to his body and rose again. To watch what she's doing because she now came in. We're trying to keep her from itching her ear while we take care of it with the right medicine. So she needs an eye. This verse 18, future glory. Oh, this part up here. If you keep yourself in alignment, right, and you suffer, whether that's, on the cross, or you suffer for your faith, or you just suffer in general, but you endure while not giving into sinful nature, then yeah, your soul gets to go to heaven too. Now, whether or not that raises your body ever, that would be coming, and not until Revelations. So, that's the plan. That's the plan that's written in Revelations, is that everybody rises. I have differing opinions on why we go to heaven in the first place than with some of mainstream Christianity. So, while devout, most definitely, not necessarily in alignment with any one particular Christian faith, which is why I don't usually use those terms. I mean, Protestant, obviously, because I'm a minister, and you can't be a minister in other faiths. So, and to me, that's the closest you can get to Creator, because to become ordained and to become a minister means you are dedicating your life to be in service to Him. And until you're ready for your soul to go to heaven, I don't know how you get it any closer. Future glory, verse 18. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. The creation waits in eager expectation for the sons of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration. Oh yeah, we have been. Not by one of its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the glorious freedom of the children of God. We know that the whole of creation has been groaning. We like to complain as a species, don't we? I'm very guilty of that. I cannot even pretend. As if in the pains of childbirth, right up to this present time. Well, as a group, we are not very emotionally and mentally all that stable as a whole. Like if you're looking at even our leaders, how many countries have some member of, whatever their leadership was, that was completely mentally unstable, and yet they still followed that person, and they, because loyalty or something. Because you'd have to go leader by leader to give the specific instance of it's a lot. There are large chunks of the world history in which the people who were leading should have probably been under the care of a doctor and not leading anything. So you have to wonder who was actually running those countries when these mentally unstable people were in one of their mentally unstable states. Or did they do things that created mass destruction within the world? You go take a look. Inbreeding makes for mental instability. It makes for a lot of medical problems. There's a reason why you're not supposed to do that. But most of those royal lines are indeed inbred. The most inbred, I think, were the Egyptians after a time, because they were marrying brothers to sisters. Okay? That stuff that's in the Game of Thrones, the leaders really did kind of act like that. Those people, they're just not like the House of Dragons. She's basically Matilda of Scotland, and her oldest son is Henry II. The usurper is essentially Stephen Blois. Okay? It's not different. They've just tweaked some things. There were no dragons as far as we know then. But they did have sailing vessels that they carved dragons on the head of sometimes. Not only so, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of Spirit, groan inwardly. Yeah, we do. As we await eagerly for our adoptions as sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we are saved. But hope is seen is no hope at all. For who hopes for what he already has? That's true. We're never quite satisfied. Once we have this one thing that we're looking for, we need that next thing, because what we're looking for is on this plane. It's an object like this coffee cup with this coffee that we can pick up. The moment I finish this coffee, it's like, oh, I'm out of coffee. I need to go put some more coffee in this empty cup. It's hard. It's not easy to find your satisfaction in the 3D world things if that's the only place you're finding satisfaction, right? It becomes much harder. But if we hope for what we do not yet have, redemption or salvation, being in heaven, we wait for it patiently. Because hope is patient. Hope is one of the nicknames that I actually have. I only have 3, as far as I know anyway, that people say to my face. There might be others that are not so pleasant, because anybody who has strong opinions often will get people in their life that don't like them. And you just have to decide whether or not you want to be comfortable with that or not. And that really comes down to, are you comfortable with who you are on the inside or not? Because if somebody's opinion really doesn't matter to you, then, okay. But there's also this thing to understand on the other side of that when we're looking at this kind of stuff with any part of what we're making, when we're making conscious choices in our life. If you don't listen long enough to any one person in this world, they will leave. If you consistently make somebody feel disrespected, and, there's no way for the situation to get better with you, what incentive do they have to stay there and interact with you? No one in this plane of existence has to tolerate the disrespect of someone else for an extended length of time. They only have to tolerate it for as long as they want to be around you. So as we go about this world today, we have to decide, do we want to even interact with others? Because if we do, we need to find a way to do so without being disrespectful to them, and without trying to jockey for power or be in control or be toxic. They are, as an individual, equal to us. There is divinity in all of us. Every right that any one of us has, every one of us has. And any individual who's trying to take away those rights from another cannot say they're walking the narrow footpath, because Creator doesn't even take away free will. So if you're trying to remove the free will of another, then you're not walking with Creator, because He wants to make you co-heirs to heaven with Christ. Christ is saying, come on up here. I'm giving you an invitation to come hang out with me in the afterlife. And what you got to be in this one is love one another, be good to each other, and don't try to force your will over the will of anyone else. Now, that doesn't mean let yourself be disrespected. It means try to find the compromise with the people around you, but sometimes you're in the wrong room. And you need to find the room you belong in. Because a soul tribe and family isn't actually just one set of these specific people. Especially not a soul tribe. It's the vibration your soul is on. If you advance and the people you were in the room with don't, they're no longer your soul tribe. Because they haven't advanced. Now, if they rise up, then you two can be on the same plane together. Your lives, and what I mean by this, is your lives need to be headed in a similar direction. You need to both carry a similar thought process about how you interact with the world. That's what I mean by the same direction. Because if it's drastically different, of course, you're going to have conflict. Because you don't want to treat each other with equal levels of respect. The more you ascend, the more compassionate, patient, and considerate of others that you start to become. Being disrespectful to others and thinking power is I can do whatever I want to you and there are no consequences and I have the right to win at all cost, no matter the damage that happens to anybody else as long as I get mine, because that's win at all cost, is not on the narrow footpath. You're not changing the vibration of heaven. You're healing you so that you don't want to treat people poorly in the first place, so that you can match the vibration of heaven. And I invite you into that space because that's where I'm going to hang out today. Let's all try to be better people together.